we are just going to go ahead and hop in a live mock draft here. I am going to be honest with you guys. I'm doing absolutely nothing and I'm so bored. So I figured I'd hop on a live stream, and I pretty much just wanted you guys to ask absolutely any questions that you guys have, fantasy football related, maybe even not fantasy football related, and I'm here to answer them. JSC, what's going on? How are you doing? I am tired. I just had my 3 mock drafts last night, or my 3 real drafts last night, and those went pretty well, I won't lie. So that's what I'm doing as of now. This mock draft, I just can't even get over the fact at how early running backs went and how little there were. Fields plus Moore or Lawrence plus Ridley, which stack is more likely to win leagues? Absolutely 1,000,000% Lawrence plus Ridley. 1,000,000%. I love both of those two more than the Bears at their respective positions. And I think Lawrence is going to have an MVP type year. I think Ridley will have no issues bouncing back this year. And plus the value is better on Lawrence, and at quarterback, when you can get a quarterback of his caliber later in drafts, that is definitely the way you want to go. So that way you can load up on the more scarce positions earlier on in your draft. Man, of course, Bijan goes right before me. My number 1 running back, Bijan Robinson. Feel free to go ahead and ask absolutely any other questions that you have, because that's pretty much all I'm here for right now, if I'm being honest. I would probably go Saquon here. Running backs tend to go, like you see your usual running backs go, usually 4 of them in the first round, maybe 5, and then there's just nothing in round 2, I feel like. And then, like last night, how it went is I took running back in the first round, and then I kind of debated whether to go running back in the second round. And there were a few drafts where teams loaded up on 2 running backs right away, and then most teams, almost every team, didn't take a running back in the first 2 rounds. And then rounds 4, 5, and 6 were just chaos for running backs. They were all just drafting like it was just like Ramondre Stevenson threw literally Dalvin Cook at 31, like almost every pick. It was just wild. I can't even express to you guys how ridiculous it was. Like, you could not plan at all what running backs you want in rounds 4 through 6 because they were just going to get taken. That was just the way it was, which is all the more reason the way that I talk again and again and again each and every video is to please take running backs early. That is the key to your success. I guarantee it. This year, above every other year, you need to take running backs early. With all the contract situations, all of the split backfields. I mean, we see even talented workhorse running backs like Breece Hall or Ramondre Stevenson, who are young and obviously are talented enough to carry a workload on their own, getting committees now. And that's just kind of the way that the NFL is shifting, is to a committee backfield. And so you have to take running backs early. The few that you can get that are not in committee backfields. Let's look down this list. McCaffrey, committee. Eckler, he's a workhorse, but he only catches passes, really. Saquon, on his own, love him. Bijan, on his own, love him. Pollard, as of now, is on his own, but we've always seen the Cowboys use committee backfields. And I love the prospect of Deuce Vaughn. So that is definitely something in the future that we could see. Chubb, love. Henry, love. Jonathan Taylor, if he plays, he's my number 2 running back. And people are like, Gage, you're crazy for having Jonathan Taylor at your number 2 running back. How is it any more crazy to have Taylor at your number 2 running back this year than when it was to have Jonathan Taylor as your number 1 running back last year? That's my question. So now people are saying that Taylor's going to be like the number 10 running back. Why are we saying that injuries don't, or why would we not put Jonathan Taylor at the top if we did last year is my question. the situation's only gotten better for him. The running back is only going to be relied on more. I'll take a break quick to answer you guys' questions. My top 3 RBs are Bijan, CMC, Barkley, and I got Ekeler as a bust candidate. I really like Bijan, 100%. He's my number 1 running back. I got CMC. I also have CMC busting, and I just don't think that he's even remotely worth considering as the number 1 running back. Not even close, in my opinion. Along with Ekeler, I think Ekeler is also going to bust. There's nowhere but down that he can go. His offense has completely changed. Everything around him has changed. Austin Ekeler is someone you definitely want to avoid this year. And Barkley, love Barkley yet again. He's a top 5 running back for me for sure. Not in a committee. He's the only guy on his offense. The only thing going against him is just that Daniel Jones is going to hoard away a few rushing touchdowns. But that is absolutely nothing to make you avoid drafting Barkley altogether with all the positives that surround him. Richard, do you think Najee will be a split workload with Warren? I absolutely do not believe so. And people, let's just look at this list. They have Najee as the number 12 running back. Najee's my number 4 overall running back this year, you guys. And I think this offense... Jacob, what's going on? I think Warren is going to get little to no work. Najee was a top 3 running back his rookie year. What's going on?
What's going on?
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. We're on the live, baby.
You're on the live?
Najee's offense is doing nothing but improving all of the time. Johnson's getting better. Pickens is getting better. Pickett is getting better. Their offensive line is getting better. And he had a metal plate in his foot last year and was still okay the entire year. And so I just don't think Najee can do anything but get better. I don't think Ekeler is going to get so much work in the receiving game as he did the last 2 years. I completely agree. People don't understand the situation that Ekeler was in last year. Ekeler was completely in the dream scenario last year as far as both of the top 2 receivers got hurt, which made him the only receiving option at the time, really. People didn't realize that Herbert's number 1 target was Ekeler and then Joshua Palmer. It was really, really bad, you guys. So those 2 are both going to be back. They drafted Quentin Johnston. They got a new offensive coordinator. Everything is completely different for Austin Ekeler, on top of the fact that he is just continuing to age. The team didn't want to pay him, and so I don't see how he's going to get anything remotely close to what he did last year. You ready for tonight?
What he said, though.
What I said, exactly. Exactly right. I just had 5. Now we have 3.
Is my ad? Never mind.
Okay. Saquon. Oh, back to what I was saying earlier about workhorse running backs. We left off, so we have 1, 2, we'll say 3 for now, 4, 5. I'm not counting Taylor, and I'm not counting Jacobs because they might not even play. Stevenson's not a workhorse. Mixon is in a lawsuit, so I'm not going to count him. Najee's good. Gibbs, split backfield. ETN, split backfield. Aaron Jones, split backfield. Breece Hall, split backfield. Sanders, only guy on his team. He's a workhorse, but he's not very good. Hey, Gage, hope your Sunday's going well. Thoughts on Nick Chubb this as your RB2 on your team this year? If you can get Chubb as your RB2, you are going to be 500 guaranteed, no matter what. I don't think there's any way that you could do enough wrong to screw up your draft if you're able to get a solid running back like Bijan or Saquon or Henry in the first round, and then you can still have Chubb as your RB2. You are going to need to do a lot wrong to screw up that team. So I really, really like Chubb as my running back too. He's one of the few workhorse guys in a high-powered offense without a committee. He'll be very reliable. Right, Jacob?
Yeah, what he said.
Exactly. You said you prefer T-Law and Ridley stack. I want to talk about that more. Do you think Ridley can be fantasy wide receiver 1? I don't think he can be the wide receiver 1. I think he can be a wide receiver 1. I think he can absolutely be a top 12 wide receiver. Let's go ahead and just take a look real quick over here at my rankings. Ridley can absolutely be a wide receiver 1. I have him right now as my number 14 wide receiver simply because he is in a very packed offense. I mean, looking at the Jags offense, this is exactly why I have Trevor Lawrence as a potential MVP this year and my pick for MVP. I think they have Ridley, they have Ingram, they have Christian Kirk, they have Zay Jones. We saw what Zay Jones did last year. He was fully capable of being a good wide receiver. They have Travis Etienne. They have now Tank Bigsby. Trevor Lawrence can run the ball. So that's like 7 options on the offensive side of the ball where the Jags can be scoring. And that is exactly what makes me love Trevor Lawrence. And I think Ridley is going to have a really good connection and lots of scoring opportunities right there for sure. But with the fact that you have 3 other guys who can put up consistent numbers, I think that is the only thing that's really holding him back from being a top fantasy option. Because if we look at the guys that I have as top options, Justin Jefferson, by far the best player on his team. He has Hockenson, who's completely different pass catcher than Jefferson. And then we have Jordan Addison, who is a question mark as of now. Amon-Ra, only player on his team. Diggs, only player on his team to catch the ball. Jamar Chase, he is by far the top player on his team to catch the ball. And I have him lower than most because he has Higgins, because he has Tyler Boyd, and because Joe Mixon is a good option. So that's why I don't have Chase as high as other people. Kupp, by far the best option, only option on his team. Tyreek Hill, by far the best option, one of 2 good options on his team, and the rest are terrible. CeeDee Lamb, by far the best. A.J. Brown, the best. Devontae Adams, the best. So that's kind of what I'm saying. That's what separates Ridley from these guys at the top here, is that he's just not like a true lone wolf in his receiving core, if that makes sense. So that's why I like Ridley, who unfortunately got picked 1 player before me. Does that make sense? Jaguars have the talent to go to the Super Bowl, I feel like, absolutely. And the AFC is loaded. And if they were in the NFC, I would immediately pick them to go to the Super Bowl. And I might even in the AFC. We'll see when the season comes closer what my predictions are. You like that? Bold takes only. Bold takes. Let's make a few picks here in this mock draft, shall we? Saquon and Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra, my number 2 receiver for fantasy this year. I'm absolutely taking Najee here. Not even going to blink about it. I took Najee in all 3 of my drafts last night without even hesitating at all. That's what it comes down to. Let's look at a few teams here. Anything out of the ordinary. Jefferson, Chase, McCaffrey, Hill, Kupp. I feel like Tyreek Hill's been jumping up lately. Maybe that's just me, but in 2 out of the 3 drafts last night, Austin Eckler fell all the way past the 6th pick, which I was a bit shocked about considering just how many people love Eckler just because of how good he did last year. Not because he's actually good or because he deserves to be top 6, but just because of where he's ranked. So maybe it's good to see that people are coming to realization that Eckler is going to fall off this year. If you haven't, make sure to leave a like on the stream, obviously. Right, Jacob? Exactly. Kelsey, 107, good. Bijan at 8 is obviously value. I don't see why he can't be the number 1 running back this year. Diggs, have Amari Christmas. I haven't heard of that yet. There we go. Thank you. So we're going to take a look at the 2 extreme scenarios here of what you can do. Actually, there are going to be several good examples from this draft. And we're going to go ahead and just jump through it. We have 2 teams back-to-back that aren't going to take a running back in the first 3 rounds. So they're going 0 RB. We have a team who didn't take a running back the first 3 rounds who went 0 RB. And we have a team who went robust RB with 3 running backs in the first 3 rounds. And they're going 0 wide receiver. So we're going to just make a few picks and see what happens with these guys here. Who do I like around here? If Ridley were here, I would take him. I like Cooper. I also would definitely consider drafting Pierce. That's for sure. I think Pierce has a chance. Pierce has a, wow, very good chance of falling to us. So we're going to go ahead and take Cooper here. And thank you. Of course, Pierce is gone. Let's see how quickly he went. Okay, he went at the end of the round. Okay, we'll take one more guy here, and then we'll assess the situation that's going on around us. Lawrence is the only quarterback here, and 0 of the teams after me who are picking have a quarterback, so we're going to go ahead and take Trevor Lawrence just for the sake of security and the simulation here. I got to jump in here. One thing I see a lot is wide receiver 2 is going so high it makes me sick to my stomach. Yes, like right here. We have Jalen Waddle, 8th pick in the 2nd round. Like 3 of them. Devonta Smith, T. Higgins. Why would you take a guy who is the 2nd option on his team in the 2nd round? It doesn't make any sense to me. You want guys, you need to think about football as a whole too. When the game is coming down to the wire, you want guys who the coach is going to say, with the game on the line, I want to draw up a play for this guy. If Jalen Waddle and the Dolphins are driving down the field down 7 with a minute left, they're going to draw up a play or call a play for Tyreek Hill. If Devonta Smith is down by 7 with 1 minute left near the goal line, they're going to do a QB draw with Jalen Hurts. They're going to do some sort of play for A.J. Brown. If T. Higgins and the Bengals down 7 with 1 minute left, they're looking for Jamar Chase every day of the week. And so why would you take these guys over someone like Chris Olave, over someone like Calvin Ridley, over someone like Amari Cooper, who are the clear alphas in their offense? On top of all 3 of these teams that took wide receiver 2s don't have a running back yet. Not to mention how terrible this number 2 team is for taking Chase and Higgins. You're almost guaranteed to not get production from both of them every single week. So it doesn't make any sense why you do that. But we're going to look at these teams here. So this team, this is why you can't go 0 RB. They have 2 really good receivers. Don't get me wrong. They have my number 1 quarterback. They have Godwin, who I think is an interesting pick, who is still, I don't understand why people are taking Godwin over Evans. It doesn't make sense to me. And then we have Miles Sanders as their running back 1. Respect to them for taking a guy this low who's actually going to be a workhorse in his offense. But still, Miles Sanders is just not a good football player. And he's not a good fantasy option. The Panthers are going to be one of the worst offenses in the league. He switched teams. He switched offenses. It's going to take a while to adapt to this offense. So this is a team who went 0 RB, and they now have only Miles Sanders as their running back 1. And that is just not something I would feel comfortable with. This team, Aaron Jones, again, I wouldn't feel comfortable. New quarterback. He's in a committee backfield. He's not going to have Aaron Rodgers throwing nearly as many checkdowns every single year. Yes, he has good receivers, but if Aaron Jones were to go down, he may take a running back in like the 8th round here, and then he's just screwed completely. You have to have running backs to fill those rosters that are going to start. Versus here, where we see a team go triple running back. Now, I definitely think there were better options to go 3 running backs in a row here. But then he gets, in the 5th round, he gets someone like DJ Moore, who I'm not crazy for. But if you can get guys in the 5th round who are clear alphas on their offense to catch passes, why would you not take running backs early, the most scarce position, when there's hardly any workhorses? You can get wide receiver 1s in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th round, as we'll see. It doesn't make any sense to me. As a Packers fan, I wouldn't be shocked if Dylan finally takes over as the RB1 this year. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. If we look down here, let's take a look. Starters. Dalvin Cook is my best backup. I got Bigsby going real early. And then A.J. Dillon's my 3rd RB2 to come off on my rankings here. I don't see any reason why A.J. Dillon couldn't finally take over. I have just never loved Aaron Jones by any means. Another example here. And also, these are just stupid mistakes that you guys can't do. They start off with 3 really good options, and then you take Travis Etienne with Calvin Ridley. Like, both of these guys are almost always never going to perform really, really good every single week. So why would you handicap yourself with taking two guys on the same team? Right? Handicap boy?
Facts.
Exactly. Moving on. This team goes triple wide receiver, and then they go Kenneth Walker, a guy who's going to be in a split backfield, and DeAndre Swift, a guy who is also going to be in a split backfield and also is not the true number one running back with Jalen Hurts on the roster. So these are the risks that you take when you go zero running back. Versus this team takes three as of now. I don't love Tony Pollard, but he is a workhorse as of now. And I don't love Joe Mixon because he still has an ongoing lawsuit, so I don't love that. They take three workhorse running backs. They take a tight end, which I don't love, so they haven't taken a wide receiver yet. But then you get Mike Evans in the 5th round, a wide receiver 1 on his team, versus being in this 5th round where you get stuck with DeAndre Swift as your wide receiver 1, or your running back 1. J.K. Dobbins, who's playing next to Lamar Jackson. If you think Lamar is going to be a worse runner than J.K. Dobbins this year, you're a complete idiot. Like, these are just prime examples of why you take running backs early. I cannot stress it enough to you guys. Cannot stress it enough.
Thank you.
I saw Jonathan Taylor in the 3rd round in last night's mock draft. I was imagining getting JT as your running back 3. LOL. Yeah, that's where. I mean, I have JT as my number 2 running back if he plays. I'm avoiding him right now. He came up a few times where I was able to draft him last night, but I elected not to, and I went Najee instead in rounds 2 or 3. But if you have guys who, like, if you're a top 3 pick, if you're able to get Bijan, you're able to get Najee, and then you're able to get Jonathan Taylor, like, that's literally 3 of my top 4 running backs. Or, I mean, any combination. If you want Saquon instead, or if you do go Jefferson and you can get Najee and then you can get Jonathan Taylor, like, that's something that I would be acceptable with, but I'm just not comfortable taking Taylor as my RB1 with all of the issues that are going on around him, to say the least. Looking through here, I love to have 3 running backs for sure after 6 rounds at the max. So if you aren't able to get someone like Pierce in the 4th, or if you don't go 3 right away, if you aren't able to get Pierce or Gibbs in the 3rd, then what I shift to is going someone like Akers or Williams in like the 5th or 6th or 7th rounds, depending on your ADP. And looking here, we see Williams and we see Akers, so let's just see if we can wait and get Williams, which we should be able to, and instead we can get another wide receiver 1 in Michael Pittman, who's the only guy on his entire offense who's going to catch passes. And of course, what do we see? We see Javonte go immediately after, and we see Cam Akers go after. Again, so these are the mistakes that happen when you do something like I do and you take Amari Cooper instead of taking a 3rd running back. You take Lawrence instead of taking a 3rd running back. These are the risks that you take, because now I'm in a scenario where I don't have my 3rd running back yet in the most scarce position in the NFL, in the most scarce year for running backs in arguably the last decade. So, and these are also the risks that I took last night in leagues where I didn't take Pierce in round 3 or round 4 as my RB3. And then all of these teams, like Team 3, Team 4, or Team 2, Team 3, Team 4, nearly every single one of these teams other than Can't Stop the Feeling, my team, and Multitasking, who took multiple RBs in the first few rounds, all of these guys just have to go bang, 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 because there are no running backs left. So if they don't take them now, they're literally not going to get running backs. So these are just all the reasons that I stress taking running backs earlier even more. Right, Jacob? Exactly. So now what I would do, if this were me, which if it were a real draft, I wouldn't have let this happen, and I would have taken running backs before. One thing you got to do before my draft is figure out the value at QB. Last year I got Burrow in the 5th round, which won't happen again, so I got to find a hidden gem for 2023. Take Lawrence or take Herbert. That is all I have to say to you. And in these simulations, they go earlier than any of your leagues. I guarantee it. And what platform are you drafting on? That's one question I have for you. But last night, I was able to get Lawrence in the 6th round, late 6th round, in 2 out of 3 of my drafts. And he got taken the pick right before me in the middle of the 6th round in another draft. And Lawrence is going to be an MVP candidate this year. I guarantee it. I guarantee. He has one of the most stacked offenses in the NFL. And there are just no reasons. And to be quite honest with you, there are a lot of times where we see last picks of the 2nd round, early 3rd round, all 3 of these top quarterbacks are gone. And yes, I think they're good, but you can't handicap yourself by taking quarterbacks this early, because then you lose out on potentially 1 or 2 of the league winners that are going to be going in those rounds. Standard redraft. Okay. But like, what platform are you doing? Like, are you doing it on ESPN? Are you doing it on Sleeper, on Yahoo, that type of deal? Because then you can go ahead and look, and we can go ahead and look at what their ADP is. When do you want to leave? 7:45? 7:40? Okay, that works for me. But no matter what their ADP is, it's going to be significantly lower than all of these top quarterbacks as we see here. Like, Herbert and Lawrence just on Fantasy Pros here are the 7th and 8th guys. And what is holding them back? They're on 2 of the most high-powered offenses in the NFL. What's holding them back from being better than any of these guys on this list? Real-time fantasy sports. I don't even know if I'm familiar with real-time.
Is this your number 1 favorite here or what?
I like JSC.
You know JC?
I don't know if I know JSC, but he's super
He's chill.
committed. He is chill. Okay, this isn't telling
He's
me.
vibing with the stream. He's here for the good looks.
I don't know. Is there a place that I can look at their ADP? But honestly, it doesn't even matter logically, because they're going to be in the same ballpark. Because if looking at this draft, if this is the absolute earliest that these guys are going to go, I say Herbert at the earliest will generally go middle of the 5th, and Lawrence will generally go early 6th, middle of the 6th, sometimes even 7th round. If you can get Lawrence, let's say middle of the 6th round, you can have by then 3 elite running backs that are workhorses that are going to get all the volume. The most scarce position. You will have 2 wide receiver 1s on your offense that can fill out your final 2 wide receiver slots. And then you'll have a potential top 3 quarterback on one of the most pass-heavy elite offenses in the NFL with rushing upside. Like, how is that not just an automatic structure for a team? That's what I don't understand about these guys that take quarterback early. Because we look at this team that took quarterback early. They have 3 wide receivers, yeah, but then their running backs are terrible. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable starting any of these guys other than Miles Sanders. I just don't really understand that, in my opinion. This guy, I respect him for taking, he took Josh Jacobs, which is really suspect after taking Mahomes in the 2nd round, considering he might not even play. But then taking Pierce in the 4th is a good pick, and it's off the ADP and earlier than expected, so I can respect that. Let's go ahead and make a few picks here to finish out this mock draft. At this point, my targets later would just be, at this point, we're going double hero RB. So we're going to target Charbonnet. We're going to target guys like Devon Achane. We're going to go Elijah Mitchell. We're going to look for Tank Bigsby real late. Do you think hero RB could actually work? I think it can actually work most years, but this year, I don't like it nearly as much. And what people don't understand is that going double hero RB, going robust RB, going hero RB, going no RB, and all wide receiver, it does not matter as much as just picking actually good fantasy options. Because if you get the best players that are going to break out every year, it doesn't matter what structure you use. If you pick the best players, you're going to win. That's just the way it is. But here, let's just click the reset button on this mock draft real quick. Because I can make a good 0 RB team right now. Like, I'll do it. That is filled with guys who are going to be good, high-powered players. We'll randomize the order again. We're going from the 9th pick. Okay, here we go. So yes, I think it could work, but I just don't think it's safe at all. So we're going to do something like here. At the 9th pick, for the difference-making position-wise of Travis Kelce, we're going to take Travis Kelce. We're going to do something completely against what I preach of going robust RB, 3 RBs right in a row. So we're going to go Travis Kelce, clear alpha, number 1 tight end in the NFL. We're going to go Amon-Ra, my number 2 wide receiver. We are going to go immediately Chris Olave. We are going to go immediately Calvin Ridley. I mean, these are just picks I'm not even thinking about. So at this point, I have not taken a running back. I've gone Travis Kelce, and I have like 3. I don't think I could have picked 3 guys at their ADP that I would like more. And if you can get the difference-making tight end, you can get 3 alpha wide receivers, yes, your team is going to be amazing. But if I would have taken T. Higgins instead of Chris Olave, that's where people screw up. Where if they go 0 RB, they need to at least do it right by picking the right players. If I would have taken Jalen Waddle here early 2nd round, taking a wide receiver 2, I would have screwed things up. If I would have taken Deebo Samuel in the 4th round here, there are way too many mouths to feed on that offense. If I would have taken DJ Moore, I mean, he's a question mark. Yes, you could say Calvin Ridley's a question mark too, but would you rather have Trevor Lawrence throwing to you, or would you rather have Justin Fields? I don't even know if I've seen Justin Fields throw yet, to be quite honest with you. Like, this is a 0 RB build that would work if I took these guys, but I wouldn't be as confident in it as going robust RB, as taking RBs earlier on. And then we can get guys, we can get Cam Akers, and we can get Javonte Williams. And then we're still looking at guys like Mike Evans. And we are still able to get someone like, like Deshaun Watson, Geno Smith go just before us. And now we have the flexibility where we can see every single team has taken a quarterback. So this is the beauty of waiting on a quarterback. Now we have 4 elite wide receiver 1s. We have 2 workhorse running backs, all while doing my least favorite draft style that there is. And Travis Kelce going 0 RB in the first 4 rounds. And now every team has a quarterback. So that means we can just continue to wait longer and longer and longer, because none of these teams are going to take a quarterback now. Now, they're obviously bots, so they may just do something stupid and take a quarterback. But this just gives us that much more time to then load up on guys that we potentially like. Someone like Treylon Burks, someone like Jordan Addison. I don't like Jackson Smith-Njigba. Quentin Johnson, we could say. He'd be a good guy to go with right now. Then we can go Zach Charbonnet. And as we're looking, still, none of these teams have taken a quarterback. So if we would have taken a quarterback here right after Mike Evans, or even where we took Mike Evans, we are just handicapping ourselves to one less player we can get, because obviously none of these teams are going to take a quarterback because they already have one. And still, we see Dak sitting there. We see Tua sitting there. We see Kirk sitting there. Aaron Rodgers. All these guys are so safe. We can stack Jared Goff, which would be a good strategy with this team, with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Why would we not do this? This is what I'm talking about. Let's keep looking. We have, one of the top guys in the committee at running back. Potential wide receiver 1, Adam Thielen. You could go potential sleeper, Romeo Doubs. We'll take Adam Thielen. just zooming through things here. Tyler Algier, gonna get work. Actually, I'm changing my pick because I'm a full believer in Bijan Robinson. We'll go Tank Bigsby. I hate Travis Etienne. What is going on here? I am speedrunning this draft. So this is just me trying to prove a point here, you guys. This isn't me recommending to do this. We have taken 13 rounds, 13 picks worth of guys, 12 picks worth of guys, I apologize. And since we debated taking a quarterback, 2 quarterbacks have gone off the board. And we're still looking at a top 10 guy in Dak Prescott, a potential top 10 guy in Rodgers, sleepers like Jared Goff, Russell Wilson, Tua if he stays healthy, where we can take these guys as late as we possibly want. And again, it's not the strategies that win you leagues, while they really help. It is the guys that you take. So that's the bottom line that I have here. Just looking at this draft. Like, I took every single guy I took here, I love this year. Other than maybe Adam Thielen or Elijah Mitchell. But this is just to prove a point. And then if I were to go ahead and take Jared Goff, everything would be completely fine. Jared Goff is going to do, and look, what do you know? The experts say Jared Goff is a steal. How magnificent. This is my point, you guys. And this is exactly why we don't need to take a quarterback early. We don't need to get so caught up in what formula we need to draft. We just need to draft the right guys at the right price. And that's the mistake that so many people make. But that's a lot easier to do, and the value's a lot better if you take those running backs early, is what I'm saying. Now, to finish up the stream, because we love to check our grade, of course, we're going to just take the best available, what they would recommend all the time. Leonard Fournette. Yes, I would love to sign a guy who's not going to play a single game this year, potentially. And what do you know? We get an A-. Not because of the players we drafted, but because we went 0 RB. Because the system loves going 0 RB for absolutely no reason. And now you'll go into your fantasy drafts this year, you'll go 0 RB, and you will completely suck. Because that's how it works every single year. I kid you not, guys. I did 3 drafts. If you don't follow me on Instagram, go to my Instagram. It's the same thing here. First and Goal. Look at my story right now. I did 3 drafts last night. I felt really good about all of them. And I was projected 12th out of 12th, 12th out of 12th, and 12th out of 12th. Dead last in every single league. And I was feeling good about how I drafted. Because this is the way that these systems work. They just grade you based on going 0 RB, based on the guys who are at the very tops of their list. This is what I'm talking about. So these are why you don't buy into what these systems tell you, and you just do what's actually logical. Like, looking at the NFL this year, it should not be that hard to see that there are plenty of good wide receivers and that running backs are complete chaos right now. That should not be that hard to see. If you open Instagram right now, you will scroll through the NFL and you will see something about a running back. If you go to Adam Schefter, you'll see something about Jonathan Taylor, something about Josh Jacobs, something about guys signing to a committee. It's like ridiculous. So take running backs early, take wide receivers later. You don't necessarily need to take a quarterback, but Lawrence and Herbert are the guys you want to target. Do I like Jahmyr Gibbs? I do like Jahmyr Gibbs. I didn't get any stock in him last night, but that's just because the draft didn't go my way. For him specifically, he got taken a lot earlier, and he's not as much of a steal anymore in like the 4th round where he was going. He's going like early 3rd round now. And there were scenarios where I was taking either Najee Harris or Dameon Pierce instead of him. But if Pierce were gone and Gibbs were still on the board, I would immediately take Gibbs too. So we're probably going to wrap this up. This is all I got for you guys. Just a couple of absolutely random mock drafts. JSC, you're the MVP of this live stream. like I said, if you don't follow me on Instagram, make sure to go look on my Instagram, because right now I'm posting my top 24 positional rankings heading into fantasy football, and I did my quarterbacks today, and people are already freaking out that I have guys like Trevor Lawrence ranked above Pat Mahomes. So it gets a little rowdy there, and we're going to do running backs, wide receivers, tight ends the next 3 days. So make sure to go follow that Instagram, and then you will be in the loop with those posts as well. And make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe if you're watching and aren't subscribed. And other than that, I'll probably be back on another live stream tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. And let me know if there's anything you guys want me to do on live streams moving forward, because now that I've done a lot of my drafts, I'm going to be pretty bored as far as not needing to do mock drafts on my own for my own sake, so I can do them for you guys. Like if you'd like to see a certain draft at a certain position or something like that, I would be willing to do it. That's all I got. I'm going to head out. I'll catch you guys later.